Hey, how are you, sir?
Doing well. How are you?
Living the dream, dude.
All right.
I think. What's the dream? Living the nightmare.
I don't know. Things have been all right.
He's not using podcast.
Yeah, I guess it depends on your point of view. It's like
Yeah.
we're all relatively okay living through troubled times, so sometimes that makes it seem even better, right?
I mean, we're making art and selling toys through a pandemic, so it's pretty good.
Yeah. So how's business been? A lot of artists been telling me that artists who are used to self-isolating anyway,
Yeah.
and don't necessarily go and talk to other humans,
Yeah.
stay in their art spaces and create and then sell their stuff online. We're getting a lot of good feedback. How's it been for you?
No, I've been doing pretty good. I sold out in 24 hours.
Wow.
So those are all $200. So that's pretty good.
I do see that trend in galleries also. There's a lot of galleries who are kind of like regrouping and not showing works that are $10,000 and $20,000 anymore, and really going for like a lot of pieces that are just affordable, a few $1,000s or under, and it seems to be, doing pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, I think the people that have money, I don't think they're hurting right now. So they're buying art. And a lot of them are online or on their phones. So, they're seeing it and they're buying it. So, I've just been it's got me excited about, kind of creating my own little world and creating these kind of like mini launches of artwork. So
and how was that for you, like interacting directly with the fans versus the gallery?
I feel like, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I've had a lot of great experiences with galleries over the years, but I've also had extremely terrible experiences with our galleries over the years.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this stuff here, I just feel like I have so much more control over how I sell it and how I approach selling the artwork. And I think it's a little easier for me to tell the story as far as like why I made the artwork, rather than it just hanging on an art gallery wall and somebody coming in and looking at it. So I think the story behind the artwork is what is, in this world of social media and kind of branding yourself or selling yourself. People want that story to go with the artwork that's hanging on their walls in their home.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about that like this weekend actually with a lot of other artists about whether art needs an explanation, and people always say that like good art shouldn't need an explanation. There was, when growing up, there was always all of these like music magazines. I don't know how many are left, but there were like dozens or 100, like for a music magazine of every genre, and people just explaining what it was all about. And then I remember an artist told me, I was like, why do you need to talk about it? You just listen to it, and how do you feel? Like, what is it? And I do believe that on one hand, but on the other hand, like humans like a story. And
yeah, I kind of like this. I like to hear the story behind, why songs are made or why movies are made, or I mean, I'm sure you like to hear the ins and outs of weird stories behind Star Wars, and
I don't like that at all. I actually, when it, I mean, not joking, but when it comes to movies now, I don't want to know anything.
You just want to see the art, and that's
I,
it.
I don't want to see a trailer. I don't want to be
Mhm.
hyped. I don't want to see the making of. I don't want to hear people talk about it. When I was younger, watching deleted scenes, listening to Scorsese commentary, on stuff was like, some of that was really remarkable. But
Yeah.
now and I can go, if I really want more, I can do that after,
Mhm.
but I don't want to read an article about it. Like
Yeah.
Sarah would read Entertainment Weekly. Like there'd be a whole article about the new Game of Thrones season. It's like, I don't want to know about that. I don't want
No.
to know. I don't want to hear anything. Just I want to sit there. I want it to be fresh. I don't want to have any spoilers. I don't want to know anything, and I
Yeah.
want to experience it. And especially a lot of these trailers, they just show you the entire movie. Like,
Mhm.
we'll go to the movies, and then before these trailers that you have to watch, and you're like, oh, that's cool. I saw that
Mhm.
whole movie. Like, I don't need to go see it.
Yeah.
Like, what else can you do with that actor and that story that's gonna wow me? And it's like nothing.
Yeah. I think I kind of like to I I would agree with you on like new stuff coming out, but like stuff that's older that like I don't know anything about. It's kind of like you hear the whole story. Like I've been listening to this podcast called No Dogs in Space, and it's like a punk rock. They did like an 8-part punk rock series on bands like the Stooges and the Damned and the Ramones, and you're just sitting and like listening to, you know, how their lives were back in the 70s and the 60s, and listening to the Shangri-Las, like these girl groups and old surf music and stuff, and how that kind of was thrown into their music. Going back and like re-listening to those records, I think is you kind of have like a fresh look on the music whenever you hear it for a new time.
Sure. I mean, historical context is, it's sometimes there's work, there's film and music and literature that like you read today and you can't identify with what's going on
Mm-hmm.
until you have some context,
Yep.
and then you realize what was going on at the time.
Yep.
Um, I forgot what I was reading just about, like, the late 1700s, during the revolution, and like how the water supply was so bad and that people were just drinking all the time,
Yep.
and they're just walking around like drunk.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
it just, and whatever I was paying attention to, it just explained why, um it's just the whole, how everything was. Can you imagine if the water supply was bad, and you either had to drink tea, or you had to boil your water, or you had to, that takes a long time, just have to get
Yep.
some wood and light a fire and do all that
Mm-hmm.
garbage. Or you can
Yep.
just grab a bottle of whiskey. It's like, that'll hydrate me.
Yep.
uh just to, in case anyone's been living under a rock for the past however long, could you just introduce yourself, tell us who you are and what you do?
Sure. Mike Egan, originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Um, Went to school for fine arts at Edinburgh University in Pennsylvania. Um, quick, I guess, a shorter version of my story was, went to school, came back to Pittsburgh, didn't really know what I was going to do with art. Worked a bunch of jobs, and decided to go to mortuary school and be a funeral director slash embalmer. Um, So I did that for about 5 years. And as I was doing that, I just kind of started to teach myself how to paint. College, I was really focused on printmaking. And through my time of just kind of being on call all the time at funeral homes, I just painted a lot, and decided I didn't want to do that anymore and wanted to pursue artwork, and started getting myself into galleries and showing artwork. I've been doing that since 2006.
So when I first met you, your tattoos were very different than they are now.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about that? Can you talk about can you talk about your tattoos? Because when you showed them to me the first time, I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Do you know the story behind my arm
I do.
as far as this?
I do.
So,
I want you to go back to the beginning when I first met you.
geez, when I first met you, I probably didn't have anything on my arms.
I believe when I first met you, you had the diagrams on your body of where you would put the when you would embalm a body.
This I have like a dotted line with scissors here that says cut here. So this is like right above your collarbone is where you make an incision. You pull up the artery and the vein here, and then that's where you inject the embalming fluid down into the body, and that pushes the blood out. So
but
yeah,
but you had them on your arms too, correct?
no, I didn't. Mm-mm.
No, it was just right up there. I'm
Mhm.
remembering incorrectly. All right. So is there something about is your work influenced specifically by the time you spent in the mortuary, or do you think you pursued a career in the mortuary business because an embalming, because of who you were, because it reflected how else do I put this? That's not a job most people would take.
No.
Most
No.
people, that's not like, they don't think like, hey, this is cool, I will go to mortuary school. Like, how can I put this? It takes a very special kind of person to like say like, yeah, I don't know, I'm gonna deal with dead bodies all day.
Yeah, and it was really kind of it was a very like spontaneous decision on my part. So it was like, well,
Was it though?
it really was. I mean,
Yeah.
I went and I toured the school. I mean, I guess there were a lot of things. Like, number one, Pittsburgh has a mortuary school. So I didn't have to go anywhere to go to school. I just drove down to the city and went to school. It was only a year worth of school because I already had a bachelor's degree. And then I had to do a year internship at a funeral home to get hours. And yeah, and the fact that I could actually there was a funeral home right down the street from the school that they would have students live on the third floor and work at the funeral. So like I actually got to do my first embalming with at the funeral home, and the guy was like, "Does this bother you at all?" I said, "No, I'm good." And he's like, "Okay, I think you'll be all right."
So, but were you painting skulls and themes of death before then?
Yeah. So college, yeah, when I was doing all my printmaking and stuff, I did have a lot of the skeletons and I mean, that was definitely the groundwork. That was 2001. I mean, it was, and I think for me, it was my teachers kind of turned me on to specific art that was, like a lot of the Mexican printmakers and the German expressionist painted a lot of death and dying and sadness because of, they were doing stuff when it was like wartime. So I guess, because of my printmaking professors and the art that they were showing me, this stuff that I've never seen before, I was like, that's cool. I want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of just made it my own. And then through the years, and I think, through working for the funeral homes and going into these different churches and stuff, for funeral masses, I got to sit there and see all this like cool religious art, like stained glass windows and the murals in the churches and everything. That was just another huge influence on me. It all just kind of, I think, is one big package, I guess.
And so this, when I first saw your work, where was I? I think it was in
Philadelphia.
Was I in Philly or was I in Pittsburgh?
That's why I met you. I met you in Philly.
You met me in Philly. Why was I in
You were
Philly?
there. You were there for the Vader Project auction, I believe.
Wow, it's funny how you remember this better than I do. So that must have been, was that 2010? So I would say by then you had come across or formulated your style that has remained pretty consistent since then.
Yep.
I mean, up until that point, like how long had you been doing that style? I mean, did that just kind of all come together right around that time?
I mean, I guess, I think my painting started out extremely crude. I mean, I'm sure you have some stuff that's it's really early.
Yeah.
I'll sit and I'll look at like, my folders that say like 2008 on it. And I'm like, geez, these are like so simplistic. I didn't, the skeletons didn't have teeth in them. They, they were very, very basic things.
I mean, we have that stuff hanging up in the house. I mean, I love that stuff. Like,
yeah.
And then we've gotten pieces from you over the years. You can see a little bit of the progression, but that early stuff is still.
It's very crude.
But I still have a soft spot in my heart for that stuff. It's very.
Do you have the stuff with the nails that I used to use? I used to
use
pound
nails on the sides.
Yeah, I used to pound those all in by hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have those.
Yeah.
And then you used to tell me that you had like a secret wash that you would put over the top, which I noticed that more recent paintings don't have.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of leaning more towards like a lot of I like the boldness, like the brighter colors now. That amber wash, like really, I mean, it's cool because it kind of the paintings look aged, but it really can almost like kind of just wash everything out. And now that I'm using better paints, the paints I'm using now are so much brighter and bolder now. So that's what I'm going toward.
Nice. All right. So I guess I'm still not getting what I want. I still think that there's something that you're not telling me, or that maybe you're just not aware of. I mean, there's someone who paints skulls and death, and then goes to work in a funeral home. There's still something there that's not unpacked, I think. I mean, most humans, not all, and there's cultural differences and people are all different, but death is something that people are very afraid of. I mean, are you afraid of dying?
Sure. And I think that's probably how I cope with it a lot of times is through artwork. Yeah.
So is that what I mean, because your work is, I don't want to say it's the same, but your themes are pretty consistent, at
Yeah.
least for the past 10 years that I've seen. I mean, they're just
Mhm.
it's skulls and death, dude. Like
Yeah. I don't know. It's I don't know, but it's like that whole theme, I guess, and just the whole idea of a skeleton is so much more interesting to me than painting people, I guess. I don't know.
But why?
Hmm. Why? I don't know. Um, it's a good question. There's something inside of me that's consistently making me do it. So, um, I don't know. I'm certainly not an artist that is like, well, I'm just going to keep doing this because this is what sells,
Yeah,
um,
you'd be painting unicorns and rainbows or something if
yeah, just be painting Simpsons and Star Wars over and over again.
So when someone like me comes along, so we have a lot of your work, and then asks
Mhm.
you to like, hey, can you paint a Star Wars piece? What did you think of that? Like, was I the first person that ever asked you to paint something pop culture?
Yes.
And like,
You are consistently the one person in my life that brings these projects to me.
and the thing is, like, I've never gotten any resistance, and you've always embraced them, and you seem to have fun with them. So why is that? The two don't seem to go together.
No, but I think I kind of have learned how to mesh the two together in a way.
Mhm.
That I mean, I think I like the idea, like the pop culture stuff from time to time, because it's almost like I find them to be kind of like a palate cleanser for me in a way, where it's just something totally different. Um, and I think it's also a challenge too, um, to, I guess, reinterpret other people's artwork. Um, but I like the idea of like this, when you see a lot of pop art, it's a lot of it's like kind of the same. It's very bold, and I mean it's pop art, where I'm taking it from like this kind of grittier kind of folk art sense, and making, you know, Darth Vader into this weird wooden character that's, has crosses and sevens and 13s and blood coming out of the eyes. Like it's something different that a lot of people really haven't seen before.
So why is it that, I mean, I have kids now. I have a 3 and 7-year-old, and I have
Hmm.
no problem with having your work on the walls around the children.
Hmm.
Like, it's not, I mean, I have some other art like that I wouldn't hang, and there's been some art since that Sarah and I have decided like we wouldn't buy because, it just be too traumatizing for the children. But for some reason, and even where like Samuel like plays his Lego, like your work is just all like all around, and it's like,
Yeah.
don't think anything of it. Like, but that's kind of morbid if you think about it.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess it's a way of approaching like that dark theme of death and dying, but it's in a welcoming way, I guess.
So are you making friends with it? Is that
Yeah,
what
I
it
mean, I
is?
guess, I mean, I do have the word death arched over my head right now, actually. So yeah, if you ask me why I've taken big black letters and I've cut out the word death and put it in my studio over top of my head, is a way of reminding myself to live.
I
and,
see.
you know, embrace life and be happy with what I've done and what I'm doing and what's in the future.
So it's almost not too dissimilar from like a Buddhist philosophy of just like admitting that life is hard or life is difficult, and then that's supposed to make the daily when you know you know your daily struggle seem more what's the word, more normal, I guess.
I mean, I
So
guess it's also like, you know, with God, with this whole political climate for the last 4 years of people just complaining and fighting with each other on the internet, you know, it's like you have nothing better to do with your life. Like your life is that terrible right now. It's like, I mean, you know, like could be out there like doing like positive things and working with people in your community and you know, creating things and starting businesses. And, you know, there's like so many good positive things we all could be doing, but we're all just like screaming at our computer screens. You know, it's like, I'd rather be in my studio just painting things and making art and making things that people are excited about. So that's what, I mean, that's what pays my bills. That's what keeps me alive. And that's what, you know, that's what gets me excited about getting out of bed in the morning.
what year was this? This was Ian, what year was this?
This 2012,
2013. So
13.
2013, I asked you to paint 50 pop culture paintings. So
Mhm.
this was the first foray into doing the Hello Kitty. I mean, leading the book here with Hello Kitty
Yeah.
with the bleeding eyes was
Yeah.
so would you call this part of your crude period?
Yeah, I would say so. I think well, that's kind of why I have been kind of dipping my toe back into that stuff a little bit because I'm like, I did spend some time like looking at that stuff and I was like, I could paint this stuff like so much better now.
Yeah, but
So
look at the blood coming out of the Care Bear's mouth.
those dead eyes.
So it's a funny story because these were all for sale.
Mhm.
And these were, how big were these? They were 10 by 10?
10, maybe 8 by 8.
8 by 8. Like, I mean, look at My Little Pony. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
when I asked you if you would do this, I was pretty sure that you would say no, that you
Yeah.
wouldn't want to have anything to do with it. I was also, I mean, I was a huge fan. I didn't know how it would go over, but we sold everything.
Yeah.
And at the time, you know, it was 2013. I don't know what was going on, but normally there's 5 Star Wars paintings in the series, and obviously we made this book, which we still have available. It's not on our site, but if anyone wants one, it's also signed by Mike right there.
Yeah.
And there's a picture of him on the back, all his other work. So a funny story is that I just put all the Star Wars pieces for sale. And I just thought, like, I got to stop getting high on my own supply. I can't keep all of these. And I just sold them all. And then thought about it years later. And I was like, this is kind of like the first book we ever published. And I want to publish books. And I have some of your other Star Wars art that you've done for me. But it's like, why don't I have the 5 paintings that are in this book? That's so, I mean, how much were they? Were they $100?
I don't even know if they were that much.
75?
I bought that whole. Yeah, I think it's $75.
$75. That's like mind blowing. And so I was like, I just woke up one morning and was just really pissed that I didn't have those 5 paintings in my life. And wouldn't you know, I just started asking around, and eventually I bought them all back from people and traded. And now I have them all. But that was, I don't know. I think the Smurf also one of my favorites. But then we ended up, I think we sold almost all of them at the show, except for 2 or 3, and then I mean, they eventually all sold, but one came home with us, I think was Gonzo, which Sarah just grabbed, just put in her office, and has lived there for the past 7 years. Where is Gonzo?
Do you know,
Gonzo's-
fun fact, one of those paintings did not make it into that book.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
Which one was that?
I believe it was the Jack Skellington. For some reason, we didn't get it in, we didn't put it in the book.
Did you send it to me?
Yeah, it was part of the series.
And we sold it at the show?
Mm-hmm.
How's that possible? Or wasn't it 50 paintings?
Yeah.
What you talking about, Willis? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. It's like watching paint dry. 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42, 44, 46, 48, 49.
That's what I thought.
What the hell? Didn't I send you this book to be proofed?
I don't know. I'm going to say no.
Oh, man. Rookie mistakes. Okay, let's talk about this guy. So I'm assuming I was the first person to approach you to ever make toys, right?
Of course.
And so we did this. We did a Bones and a Lucky in Japan, in Japanese vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a little hard for us. The exchange rate, the speed with which stuff was made, it just, I remember selling a few runs of them at wholesale when we were, doing distribution, and because the yen had changed, like losing money.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, what? And then it just, we could have kept making more, but it just kind of stopped. It got too difficult. And so we've recently just relaunched the line. And for anybody watching on DKEtoys.com, you go to the store. There's Bones that we released for New York Comic Con, an edition of 100.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Lucky.
Yeah.
Now in resin. A little harder.
Mm-hmm.
And I have this beautiful box here. Did it break?
Yeah. Well, no, but I have to fix it.
Silk screen box, and then Mike has signed and numbered these. Very cool. So I want to make more of these and just go straight to resin.
Yeah.
What's the next character?
Well, I know that you have, you seem to have a passion for kind of like that Pope character.
I do like that Pope character, but is that really the best one to do? Is that just me and my weirdness? I just like his hat, but do you also have like the wolf?
Lady Bones would be fun.
Lady Bones?
I have a black cat character that I would love to do with the number 9 on the chest.
Would it be to scale with these? How big would the cat be?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I would probably do like a human, like the human type body, but the cat head, tail, would be fun.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. We have much to talk about.
Yeah.
Because I think it's time to. I also want to do the Bones with the 2 heads.
Oh, yes.
With the wider body, that would be rad.
I would love that.
What I will say about the resin compared to the Japanese vinyl is the colors are not as, with painting these black and doing the wash, getting those bright colors that we had in Japan.
Yeah.
I don't think are ever gonna be the same. That's gonna have its own quality Can you hand me the orange ones over there? Can show people some of the tests. They might appreciate that. The orange one we painted black, or the purple, or yeah, both of those. You'd think I'd go and get these and prepare for. So this one was clear. So like this one was clear orange, and then when you paint it black and rub it off, it doesn't quite look. Doesn't get the effect you want. I mean, if you hold it up to the light, you can kind of see through it.
It's cool. It looks like you dug it out of your backyard.
That one we did mess a little up.
This one, and so the process is a little different. I remember Luke Rook, who's from Lulabelle, who's living in Japan. Like, he would tell me about, I would always give him crap about not wearing, a mask and gloves and respirators and stuff. But he would tell me about how horrible it is to take your figures that he painted black one day and the next day take acetone and start rubbing it, and there's like the fumes and it's going into his skin, and I'm like,
Jesus.
And he's doing it in the place where he lives. What are you doing? Like, a mask, gloves, come on. Like,
yeah.
And then when I would order, like, hey, we need another 100 of those or 50 of those, and he'd be like, ugh. He knew it was like just taking years off of his life. I shouldn't be laughing about that. So yeah, it'll be interesting. We will talk about this.
Yeah.
So I don't know, what's next for Mike?
Just getting ready for holiday stuff. More smalls for the holidays. Finished up a painting, going to Giant Robot for their Mark Todd invited me to their post-it show. I guess it's a little bit of a different layout this year. They're doing a 10 by 10 panel, and then a post-it note will accompany the painting. And then I showed you that Garbage Pail Kids painting that I just did for Gallery 1988.
That was very cool. Do you have it near you?
No, I shipped it out already. But that'll be there for, I think, December. And then really focused on, I'm doing my 1977 clothing stuff. I have a bunch of stuff being printed right now. Shirts, totes, sweatshirts, coaches, jackets. I mean, I think that's I have so many ideas for that stuff for clothing lines. So I'm really excited about that.
So I guess when I say what's next, I mean, like, in the bigger sense, like, is this it? Like, have you made it?
No, never.
Have all your dreams come true? You
No.
support yourself. You're an artist.
No.
Like,
No.
I mean, well, I'll tell you that it's so funny how relative these things are. For most people I know who are artists, what you have achieved currently, being an artist, painting, supporting yourself with that art, and not having to work at the mortuary, is kind of the dream come true. I mean, but your reaction to that question was like, no.
Yeah. No, that's why I said, like, this whole, like, clothing, like, if I could make 1977 clothing, like Vans or Obey Giant, or what Shepard Fairey has done with his clothes, like, that's what I want to go do.
Really?
Yeah.
Like
I mean, to say, like, is this it? Like, no, I want my paintings in museums. I want.
Right. Okay. But as far as we're talking about just painting, like, you get to paint. Yeah. Everyone wants their work to sell for more money. They want to get more prestigious collections. They want more attention. But I mean,
that stuff overall really doesn't like, I'm never really impressed with that stuff too much.
With what stuff?
I don't know. Just artists that sit and I don't know. I've had plenty of conversations with artists tell me how much their art's going for and who bought it and all this stuff. Like I could care less.
Yeah, and that's not the important part. The important part is, you know, having some security and
Sure.
knowing that you don't have to worry about.
Yeah, I don't want to
something.
be 65 doing $200 paintings, you know,
Right.
just trying
So-
to pay my monthly bills.
Right. So there is, and so with that notoriety, you know, comes hopefully some financial benefits.
Yeah.
We hope. So yeah,
Yeah.
we're not, you know, I don't think anyone aspires to be like snooty. I think that just
Yeah.
happens by virtue of,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well-
I don't know. I mean, I think me and my wife are both getting excited about like just learning the business aspects of, you know, selling a lot more of the artwork myself, you know,
Mhm.
and I mean, I don't know, that could turn into an art gallery of my own stuff,
Mhm.
or, you know, traveling and selling art that way, or doing pop-ups throughout the country. And I don't know, I'm just excited about doing new stuff.
I mean, I would say that from what I've seen is that works at a certain price point,
Yeah.
but then the people who are, when you get into like the snooty kind of territory, is when there's a gallerist who is telling his or her customers that they need to buy this person's work for their
Mhm.
portfolio. It's no longer about whether the person sees the art and actually likes it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, no, you need to have this person represented, you know, either for bragging rights or because this is a blue chip place to park your money. And then it's all just this impression, you know, it's like who they sell your art to. And
I don't know if I'm into that.
yeah, I don't think you are either.
It's pretty gross.
Yeah, I mean, because it stops being about the art.
Yeah.
What was that story? There was a gallery at Art Basel, and Beyonce and Jay-Z came by to buy, like, I don't know what it was, a Cause or a Murakami or something, and the gallerist like didn't know who they were,
Oh yeah.
and just like and refused to sell him a painting.
Oh jeez.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, dude. Well, it has been a pleasure. I really appreciate the time you're sharing about your life with us, and
Heck yeah, dude. It's always good to talk to you.
there will be many more opportunities, and we'll be in touch soon. As soon as I can get, you know, these regular bones and Lucky out in quantity, and get you your pieces for the holidays, we'll talk about the plan for next year.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right, dude. I will talk to you soon. Thank
Take
you
care.
again.